I like you. You got very good technique. If you want to fight, I can get you fight in 3 weeks. I say let's do it. Like why not? So I had my fight 3 weeks after being in Thailand. I got in the ring, and about 2 minutes into it, he hits me with this big elbow in my temple, and I kind of just checked myself. I was like, is this what I've been worrying about the whole time?
Yeah.
I didn't even feel it. It was just like a little knock. It's either now or never. Like I was, 23, 24 when the pandemic hit. And like, Muay Thai is like average, same as football. So I got hit with this elbow, and literally like 20 seconds after I got hit with that elbow, I gave him a right cross, left body shot, and just stopped the fight from there, yeah.
You're right, Connor, how are you today?
Good man, yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining me on the Chinwag Podcast this afternoon in my studio. Just introduce yourself to me and the viewers.
So my name's Connor Emery. I'm a professional Muay Thai fighter. I've been living in Thailand the last 3 years. Just come back to London about 2 weeks ago. So,
How did you get into Muay Thai fighting as a kid? Did you play any other sports as well growing up?
actually, I started football same time I started Muay Thai, around 6, 7 years old. So my dad got me into Muay Thai. My mum got me into football. I actually prefer football, believe it or not. But I got to about 12 years old, and my dad gave me like an ultimatum, either Muay Thai or football. It was taking up too much time. Weekends was football. During the weekdays was Muay Thai. So
what was going through your mind at the time? Were you going to side football? Were you going to side for Muay Thai? What was going through your mind at the time?
like I said, I enjoy football more because it's like it's a team sport. But I felt like I had more potential and more of a future in Muay Thai. Like when I was around 12, I had about 30 fights already in Muay Thai. And I was training at quite a good gym, Nosy Academies in Burnt Oak. Like right now, it's quite a famous gym. And I had quite good opportunities for like British titles coming up. So my dad kind of pushed. I would say I had more love for Muay Thai. I preferred football, I enjoyed it more. But I had more love for Muay Thai because it's like a solo sport. There's no one there to save you. It's unique.
So at the age of 12, you're saying you have already many fights.
Yeah.
So what was the experience like of being such a young kid and having those kind of fights?
It was tough because when you're growing up, especially around 12 years old, you just want to chill out, play with your friends, go out on the street, play Xbox, this and that. And for me, it was like I go to school, I go home, get changed, go to training, come home, eat, sleep. And I used to be quite a chubby kid, believe it or not, when I was young. I was like 55 kilos at 12. So I had to lose about 10 kilos to start fighting kids my age because I'd always be competing against guys that were like, say I'm 12, they were like 14, 15 because of the weight classes. So I dropped, it was a losing the weight and just wanted to be a boy and play around. That kind of made me fall out of love for the sport. My dad took me to Thailand 3 times growing up. And I was long already just lost my love for the sport, but I'd done it just because to keep him happy, to keep the house.
So you're saying you were losing the love for the sport. So what was the things that were keeping you going apart from the money side of things?
To be honest, my dad, he had the big picture planned out for me. If I listened to him now, I would have been, at the highest level fighting. But at that age, I couldn't see the bigger picture. It was the cutting weight. Cutting weight at a young age, like 10 kilos is quite a lot. And just the constant training every day, it was like, it just added up over 7, 8 years. It was just like...
So looking back, is that a regret that you have?
100%, probably one of my biggest. Yeah.
So what would you change in that scenario?
Just to keep pushing through it, no matter how hard or no matter how much I didn't want to go training or fight, just to see the bigger picture and where it could have led me in my future. Like Liam Nolan, for example, he went to high school, right? So he's started when I stopped. Now he's fighting on the biggest platform in Muay Thai, earning a great salary. So it's.
So as a kid, and obviously the struggles of Muay Thai, what were the toughest moments that you experienced as from 12 to 18?
It's a tricky question, to be fair. It's a tricky question. I think it's just a commitment, the time you have to put in. You know, like people only see the wins and the victories. They never see the time that you put in behind the scenes. You know, getting to that stage. It's like, especially with any sport, if you want to get to the high level, you got to put in countless amount of hours, a lot of sacrifices. You know, you're not out there spending time with your friends or your family. You're in the gym all the time. You know, it's like.
So you just talked about the toughest moments. So what were the most rewarding moments of your teenage years doing Muay Thai?
Probably winning I had 3 championship belts in England. So probably winning those 3 championship belts was definitely my highlight.
So those 3 championship belts, were they like a tournament or was it just over time? So just tell me through, or just the biggest achievement you had with one of those 3 belts.
So my first one, I had four title shots. I lost my first one against Danny McGowan, who's a pretty good name in England right now. I lost that. That was in his hometown, because I went like I said, I travelled around England fighting and competing. But the first championship belt I won was a tournament. It was a free fight tournament in one day, and they had weight classes, right? So it was like 45 to 50 and 50 to 55. I weighed in like 50.5, like 0.5. I missed like the lower category, so I got put in with a lot of older lads, and I stopped. My first 2 fights were stoppages. I stopped the first 2. One was with a body shot. The second was with leg kicks. The third fight I had was, like I said, I was like 13. Kid was like 15, 16, easy, like way taller. He probably just scraped the 55 kilo.
Right.
And but I beat him on points, went a distance, 5 rounds, beat him on points. My second title fight, it was supposed to be a tournament. So they got a big one called Ringmasters, and it's like, used to be quite a famous tournament in the UK. And there was only 3 kids that entered it. So me, Danny McGowan, who I lost my first title fight to, and a European champion called Isaac Ashley. He was like top level. There's a picture of him holding his hands out. He had like 5 belts this side.
Wow.
5 belts that side, belts here, belts there, belts everywhere. And they basically had to pull a name out of the hat. So my name got pulled out the hat to go through to the finals.
Okay, so you got that like bye kind of thing.
I got bye. So Daniel and Isaac Ashley had to fight together, and I basically fought whoever won that. And I beat Isaac Ashley. He won. I beat him, and his team weren't really too happy about it. They were like, "Look, let's go down to Penzance in Portsmouth. Let's run it back, have a rematch." I said, "All right, no problem. I'll come down to your hometown." Even though every time in Muay Thai, if you're fighting someone in their hometown, you either have to knock them out or you have to win every single round. Like,
because of the bias.
Exactly, because the judges and the referees. So I went down to his hometown and I gave him 2 8 counts. I think it was a 5-round fight. Won every round, and that was my last fight actually before I stopped at 14.
So why did you stop at 14 after that really, really massive success? So what were the reasons why you stopped?
It was strange because like we were driving through into Penzance, and there was like big posters of me and him like around the town. It was quite overwhelming. Like, you're just a young kid growing up at 14 to see a face all across the posters around the town. It's like it's quite hard to get your head around. But I think it was just like I said. I wanted to be a boy. I wanted to hang out with my friends. I was quite mischievous growing up. Like, your parents tell you to go right, you're gonna go left.
Yeah.
And I had a girlfriend at the time as well. That definitely put me off of it. I wanted to spend time with her. When I was training, I couldn't spend any time with her, so.
I feel we look back at things, and I'm not saying you regret that, but maybe you do. 100%. Saying we look back at things and then obviously learn how to do better. So how did you pick up Muay Thai again, and what were the reasons for not stopping completely?
So I did stop completely for about 7 years. So I left high school at 16. No summer holidays, went straight into plumbing. My dad got me an apprenticeship doing plumbing. And like, I was just going around the sites to sites for like 6, 7 years. And I just knew there was more to life out there for me than just this plumbing job. Like, I'm watching guys in their 40s and their 50s. They're going to work, going to pub, going home next day, same thing.
Just very monotonous, same thing every day.
I was just like, surely I just had this feeling inside, like, even when like I visualize it, it's like it's already happened. Like, I visualize winning these belts and being at that high level. And it's like seeing like a glimpse into the future. It's like I knew there was more for me than this 9-to-5 lifestyle. And obviously the pandemic hit. So after the pandemic, I started going gym, doing some weights, getting back into fitness. Started going like 3 3 times a week to weights, 3 times a week to Muay Thai. And I was doing the Muay Thai training, and I was like, because it never really left me, because I've been doing it at such a young age. It just feels so natural for me to do Muay Thai. So I thought...
Was your first day back at Muay Thai like really nerve-wracking, or what was your feeling?
I definitely felt like I lost a bit of a touch. I felt rusty, a little bit slower. Obviously your combinations and your IQ, like when you're sparring, isn't the same. But I felt like really quickly, like just a few weeks or just like a couple of months into it, I felt like I was really sharp. I could read a lot of people. My style was very different to other people. So when I was training in Nosy academies, it was like people hated to spar me. There'll be like a group of like 10 of us, all different ages, sizes, weight classes, styles. But people really didn't like to spar me because my style was very unorthodox. Like I like to switch stance, southpaw, orthodox. The way I throw my punches is from weird angles. So
Is that a really good feeling that obviously people are not, I'm not saying they're afraid, but they're like very, very cautious to spar you because obviously they know you're a good fighter?
Yeah, it gives you a confidence boost, like, because say the round finished, you just spar someone, and straight away when the round finishes, you go to someone else, you pick someone.
Oh, right, okay.
And I see everyone just edging away from me, like they're already trying to get someone except for me, and it's like I always have to get like the last person.
Right.
So it's a good feeling, but at the same time, it's like you're thinking, is there something wrong with me? You're not too, you're kind of second guessing yourself. You're thinking, is it because I'm good or is it because of this? But then over time, I kind of realized, nah, like I had people telling me as well, like I don't like to spar you. You're really awkward to spar. You know, you always catch me with this, catch me with that. So I realized kind of from then, it's either now or never. Like I was, 23, 24 when the pandemic hit. And like Muay Thai is like average, same as football. It's like 35, really. You got to 35 to fight.
So you picked it up quite late again.
Yeah.
So as you said earlier, you went to Thailand for 3 years. So what was the process of your thinking, I'm going to go to Thailand to train and to compete?
So once again, my dad, honestly, he's a man. Like
big shout out to your dad.
Yeah, big shout out to Joe, man. He's a man. He really pushed my hand to go to Thailand. Like, at first I wanted to go to Australia, do plumbing, like work over there. Because even living in London, like I've got the best mates, I've got really amazing friends, but I just knew like there was just more to me than this little town in London. Like I knew there's just more for me. So he said to me, look, why don't you just go on a trip to Thailand, have a couple fights or do some training, meet some new people, travel, gain some life experience. I thought, you know what? Like at first I was like, kind of second guessing it. I wasn't too sure. But over time, like the more I left it, the more I kind of wanted to do it. So I was saving money anyway from work for like 3-4 years before I even went there. So just for like a rainy day, I didn't even know it was gonna help me out to stretch out that long in Thailand.
So what was the original plan? So you decided to go to Thailand. Do you know anyone out there, or so you don't know anyone out there? So
actually, sorry. So my friend Dorian, he from school, he was living there about a year before I went there. And he went to a monastery for 6 months, like completely shaved his eyebrows, shaved his hair, like lived in the temples. And I could speak to him every 2-3 weeks, because that's the only time he gets his phone. But he was telling me, man, you need to get yourself out here. You need to, like indulge in the culture, just gain some life experience, like I said. And I thought, you know what, especially for Muay Thai, that's the best place to be is Thailand. So I booked my flights. So before, this is COVID now. Like, you're not really supposed to leave the country. You've got to have a reason to leave the country. Yeah. So you got to pay for your hotel, pay for your flights, insurance, COVID tests, fit to fly, like everything before you even get into the country. So I had COVID 2 weeks before I flew out. You got to do a COVID test 72 hours prior to when you fly out. So I was thinking, if this comes in positive now, like my $2,500 is just gone. Do you know what I mean? So it's a big risk that I took, but sometimes in life you need to take these risks.
Yeah, take the biggest risk, get the biggest rewards. So you land in Thailand, obviously you know Dorian out there. So what was your plan originally whilst in Thailand?
So my plan was to see Dorian for 2 weeks, see him, train at a gym next to where he was. He was staying like right next to Cambodia, northeast Thailand, they call it Isan, like right by the border of Cambodia. My plan was to stay there for 2 weeks. Go to Phuket for 2 weeks, go to Bangkok for 2 weeks, Koh Samui, kind of try out different gyms, see where my style kind of adapted and fitted in best, or the coaches that I kind of connected with more. And I was with Dorian for about 2 weeks. I was training at his gym, and there was like a golden era, like from 40 years ago, they called it golden era.
Mm.
So the coach there was top level. Like the training he was doing was like 5-minute round pads, 10-minute round sparring, 20-minute round clinching.
Is this Tiger Muay Thai?
No, this is in like northeast Thailand. This is like countryside. This is like basically like Blackpool. Or like, do you know what I mean? This is like proper countryside. So I went up there. I kind of fell in love with the gym, and there were some young Thai kids that were like Channel 7, like which is like the kind of like top promotion, top TV channel to be fighting on, like live in Thailand. And like we were having like unofficial fights every day in this gym, like just the coaches just be like go, and we'll just be like going at it, just like full on leg kicks, full power. So like I really loved it. It was a different experience. And in my first day in training actually, so he picked me up from the airport, the coach from the gym, and I was telling him my background, you know, how long I've been doing Muay Thai for and this and that. And after my first day of training, he goes straight up to me, he goes, look, I like you, you've got very good technique. If you want to fight, I can get you a fight in 3 weeks. I say, let's do it, you know, like why not? So I had my fight 3 weeks after being in Thailand. So I won that fight first round and by a stoppage. That was just a crazy experience, but in itself, fighting in the middle of a field. So they set up a ring in the middle of a field, and like you're stretching in like this bamboo grass.
Right.
And it's not for money. Like the check weight, they both lift up my t-shirt, lift up his t-shirt. Can do just like this.
So it's very like underground.
Yeah, and it's like I've never been hit with elbows. So in UK you have like Class C, Class B, Class A, and in Thailand it's just like full Muay Thai, which is Class A. So I've never been hit with an elbow in my life.
So what was that kind of experience like?
Seeing it on TV, when you're watching it, you're like, oof, like I've heard it's like getting hit with a baseball bat. So in my head, I was expecting it to be like excruciating pain, but even before my fight, like 2 minutes before I got in the ring, they're like, this guy, very good elbow, be careful, be careful. I'm just like, you're telling me now, 2 minutes before I get in the ring, I'm like, all right, cool. So I got in the ring, and about 2 minutes into it, he hits me with this big elbow in my temple, and I kind of just checked myself. I was like, is this what I've been worrying about the whole time?
Yeah.
I didn't even feel it. It was just like a little knock because of adrenaline, and I was like, is this what I've been stressing about this whole time? I was like, this is nothing, and it kind of woke me up. Like in all my fights, I have to get hit with like a big punch to kind of like wake up and get the fuel burning. So I got hit with this elbow, and literally like 20 seconds after I got hit with that elbow, I give him a right cross, left body shot, and just stopped the fight from there. Yeah.
So what was that like? So you stopped the fight in your very first fight.
Yeah.
After that, what are your emotions like?
It's like I said, I made all these sacrifices for my family, my friends, my job. You know, just packing up everything, selling everything, and moving over to a different country, kind of starting a new life. It was amazing, honestly. Like I felt like I made the best decision of my life. But about 2-3 days after this fight, the third wave of COVID came into Thailand.
Right.
So when I left London, everything was closed. Like no gyms were open for 6 months. Everything was closed. And then about 3 weeks of me being in Thailand, so obviously I've done the quarantine for 2 weeks in Bangkok. I come out, went to meet Dorian. So about 5 weeks total into Thailand. The third wave of COVID come. Bearing in mind, before, like a year into the pandemic, Thailand's had like under 100 deaths, like 92 deaths, 95 deaths, something like this, like hardly any compared to UK. They had it really under control. Then this third wave come, and the numbers just started going up by hundreds every day. Like it went up to like 1,000 deaths after like a week in the third wave of COVID. And then so that lasted about 6 months. So from around April till around September was a third wave in Thailand. But then everything in London started to open up. So like all the gyms were opening, the fights were opening, like my friends in London, they were fighting.
Did you return to London?
No,
You stayed in Thailand?
I was thinking like I spent all this money, I made all these sacrifices, I come here and it's like the first month was perfect. Like I had a fight, I was kind of adjusting into it, I was learning Thai, learning how to kind of like talk to the locals. But then I felt like, damn, like I've made this big jump and I spent all this money, and now like I kind of start regretting it a little bit. So I stayed in Ubon where Dorian was for about another 3 months, but like I said, it's the countryside. There's not really much to do there. It's very quiet, hardly any foreigners there. Like me and Dorian probably like one of like 10 in the whole town, you know.
So what was the most difficult part in that 3 month or that period of time when the third wave of COVID hit? So was it staying in the countryside, missing your family, looking at your friends back home having fights?
It was probably a mixture of watching my friends fighting and my family. Like I would speak to my family every day on FaceTime. But like with Dorian, he was working as a school teacher, and so he was very busy. Luckily, I could chat to the trainer, kind of persuade him, because you're not allowed to train. If police come into the gym, like it'll be quite a big problem.
Right.
So lucky enough, the trainer said, look, these are the hours you can come into the gym. Just make sure you clean up after yourself, don't make a mess, you know, treat it with respect, which obviously I would. Like, he's doing me a favour at the end of the day. So I'd say probably the hardest thing was being away from my family and not having anyone there that you can really talk to on a day-to-day basis. It's like very isolated. It was quite lonely. Yeah.
So after that period, that COVID period's over. So what was next for you in Thailand?
So about halfway through the third wave, I moved to Koh Samui. So I seen some fighters there. My dad again, he recommended me to go there. So I took a flight over to Koh Samui. That's like an island. It's like got beaches. It's got a lot of like foreigners there. But like I said, I went there when it was COVID. So like not one shop was open. The whole place was like a ghost town. The gyms weren't really open. You could kind of go in 1 or 2 hours a day, like during a time frame. Like even the 7-Elevens, they're 24 hours. They closed at midnight. It was like literally walking through a ghost town. Like
Right.
I went there 10, 15 years ago as a kid and seen it like full force. And comparing it to that, it was like a bit of a shock. But I knew if I wait it out, give it a few months, wait for this to kind of blow over, this pandemic, I knew it was going to be all right. Do you know what I mean?